Hi, I'm Griffin Cataldo, and this report is coming to you from eastern Massachusetts, where the air temperature is 57 degrees. We'll get up to about 58 degrees today in the eastern part of the state. Will be a little bit cooler than places like Connecticut today for a few reasons. One of them, and you've heard me say this one before, it's because of Connecticut's southerly location. They can get a bit more direct sunlight, a bit more warming on days when we have full sun, like a day like today. There is absolutely no clouds over most of southern New England, so it's a fantastic all sunshine day. It gets warmer in places like Connecticut on these types of days, but also because the winds are a bit stronger here in the eastern part of the state versus the western part of the state or Connecticut, and that's because we've got a high pressure area that is over New York State right now, and so that's closer to Connecticut in western Massachusetts. So the air, it doesn't have to work as hard to move into the region over in Connecticut and western Massachusetts versus the eastern part of the state or the Cape today. It actually has to work a bit harder. It's further away, so the winds are a bit stronger here in the eastern part of the state, and so that ends up being a bit cooler because it's a northwesterly breeze today. That brings in cooler air, makes it a bit harder for us to warm up during the daytime hours. So that's why we're a bit cooler today in the eastern part of the state versus places like Western Mass or Connecticut today. So today we have full sunshine to talk about, no clouds until we get to tonight, and that's when we have high level moisture that'll be moving into the region, and that'll overspread most of southern New England tonight. So it's a pretty cloudy night tonight, and clouds act like a blanket at night, but and so that keeps us warmer at night when we have clouds. But because this is high level clouds and not low level clouds, the blanket is going to be higher up in the sky. Picture a blanket. The warm air is rising up. We lose a lot of that warm air, and it hits the blanket, and it falls back down to the atmosphere, or to the surface. The blanket is higher up in the sky, so the warm air has further to rise before it'll actually be brought back down towards the surface. So because that is the case, we end up being not overly mild for tonight. But because we were warm during the day, or warmer during the day, it ends up not being a super cold night, because still, the warmer you are during the day, the less cold it's going to be at night. Just because of the cooling processes that go on at night. But it's still a pretty chilly night, just not the coldest night we've had. I'd say the low 40s seem likely, maybe upper 30s in some of the higher elevations. And the clouds will persist until early tomorrow morning, until probably about 10, 11 a.m. in the morning, but the afternoon looks fantastic. I think we will open up to some nice sunshine for the afternoon of tomorrow, which is a bit different than I said in my forecast before, and that's because the low-level moisture is not going to do as much of a good job as of progressing into the region, and that is because the dew points are actually going to remain lower than the temperature, and so we won't have any temperature or dew point matching, and so because of that, we probably won't have any moisture into the region. Lifting will still exist, but it won't really be able to form into clouds because it'll just keep rising to its destination. So that's fantastic. I think we'll open up to nice, mostly sunny skies. We may have some rain to deal with early tomorrow morning, but it seems like it'll be north of Boston. This would be northern Massachusetts, and it seems like a very low threat for a few reasons. One of them, because the GFS has the moisture, the mid-level moisture, in front of behind the high level moisture. It has it lagging behind the high level moisture. And so because that's the case, I think it's going to be a little bit, it's going to take a lot for us to overlap the moisture levels. You need moisture overlap to get any rain. So I'm not really confident that that's going to happen. If it does happen, it's still going to be light rain that we're dealing with. Because what will happen is the lifting will go up into the atmosphere. It'll condense to form clouds, reach its dew point, form clouds, and that'll continue to happen until the cloud can't hold any more moisture. And then it drops into rain. And the rain will go and condense down at the lower levels of the atmosphere. And eventually, if the lower levels of the atmosphere were saturated, we would potentially get rain at the surface, or heavier rain at the surface. But the problem is, as it makes its descent towards the lower levels, it's actually, a lot of the rain is going to evaporate into the atmosphere, because the atmosphere at the 850 millibar level, which is the lower level of the atmosphere above the surface, that is actually pretty dry. And so because it's dry, the atmosphere likes to take up a lot of that moisture. Similar down on the surface, when the atmosphere is when the atmosphere is dry, it likes to take the sweat off your skin. It likes to take the moisture from the plants. Part of the reason why we have our fire risk, because we're in that dry environment at the surface. The plants end up dry. So the same thing here. The rain is kind of going to evaporate somewhat. It's not really going to do a great job of making it to the surface. So I think even if we do get any rain, it's not going to be much rain at all. North of Boston seems the best chance for any little minimal rain threat that we have. And then we open up to some nice, mostly sunny skies for tomorrow. A bit cooler. I'd say we're sitting at about 60 degrees, and that's because of our winds. We'll be a bit stronger with the winds tomorrow region-wide, and it's coming from the northwest direction, as I said, so that'll keep it a little bit harder to warm up during the daytime hours. And then Tuesday, bit cooler as well, but we continue our mostly sunny trends until Tuesday, potentially even Wednesday as well, before maybe we'll watch some rain Wednesday into Thursday. That's my latest forecast for right now. We'll be back with another update tomorrow. Have a fantastic rest of your day.